Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new, please go ahead and subscribe. My name is Akisha, and today I'm going to be talking about why I have not been uploading on YouTube. So for those of you that don't know, I did have my baby on February 15th. So it is, I think it's been a little bit over 2 weeks. um, I did have a C-section. Everything went well. um, the only problem that, I mean, I don't really know if it's a problem, but so I had a C-section, and I've been like, I don't know, the C-section is just like draining. I don't know if anybody's ever gone through that. This is my fourth C-section, but I've never like drained or anything, like no liquid or nothing has come out of my incision. Every time I check on it, I feel and I see that it looks open. Um, but I did go to my OBGYN, and she says that it's not open. Um, so she said that it'll take a little time for it to, I guess, kind of go back together. I don't know, but I'm still keeping an eye on that. Um, the other reason why I haven't really uploaded, I haven't really been, I don't know, I don't know if it's just been feeling weird, but so when my son was born, I did have a boy, by the way. He weighed 7 pounds and 9 ounces. Um, he was born healthy. Everything was good. He was when he was born, he did have like a big bruise on his stomach. I'm guessing that's just when he came out, because we took pictures right after he was born, and he already had that. And his dad was there with him the entire time, so nobody did anything to him or anything. But one thing that I did notice, when they brought him to my room, is that every time that I would feed him, whether it was from a bottle or if it was like, because I was breastfeeding him, so breast milk, I noticed that he would kind of like choke, or he would kind of like vomit. When, I don't know if you guys ever happened to you where you kind of vomit, and you have it, and then you like kind of like swallow it back. That's what started happening to him that I was noticing. Then, and again, this is my fourth child, and my three kids, they were all C-section as well, and I've never, not that I remember, that they've ever like choked or kind of gagged on their food or anything. So, but I guess, just being a mother, you kind of just know what's kind of normal, what's not. And like I said, I've never seen any of my other kids done that. So that's one of the things that I've noticed, that I first told one of the nurses that, every time that he would eat or drink his milk, whether it was breast milk, like I said, or bottle, he would start kind of, I can hear him like vomit in his mouth and kind of, like try swallowing it, but then he would start choking. And because he would start choking, it was hard for him to catch his breath. So, so I was worried. But the nurses kept telling me that it was normal, which I felt like it wasn't normal because I've never seen it before. But so, okay, the second day that I was at the hospital, I started noticing that he started doing it a little bit more. He kind of started choking more and trying to catch his breath. So this is when I really started getting worried. And I was burping him, for every feeding. So then, because I was breastfeeding, I didn't know exactly how much I was giving him. So I thought maybe it was, because of the amount that I was, maybe giving him during his feedings. So I did bring up their attention again, about, him choking and vomiting and, swallowing that vomit. They didn't really, they kept saying it was normal. I guess they didn't really, believe it or something. They kept telling me it was reflux or something like that. That's when the baby's food, when after they drink, instead of it going down to the stomach, it comes back up and they spit it out or they vomit it out. But he was doing it too often for me to think it was normal. So um so then when one of the nurses came in, I had just, I was just finished feeding him, and he did it again, and she saw when he was like choking on his vomit. So she finally said that she can suction his stomach. And him being a newborn, obviously you don't want nothing, bad to happen, or, have that separation. So I didn't want to at first, but I did not want to bring him home and have problems with him at home, or, something bad happened, and, I wouldn't be able to do anything for him. So I said yes, and they took him to the nursery real quick. It didn't take that long, maybe a couple minutes. They suctioned his stomach, and she brought back a good amount of the amniotic fluid. Sorry, amniotic fluid that they suctioned up from his stomach. After that, after that was done to him, oh, and they also did clip his tongue, but I don't think that had anything to do with the feeding. So after they did that, he was finally able to rest for and sleep for a little while. And I didn't see him choking on his vomit, so I thought everything was, better, good. So we got released on the third day. So I had him on Monday, and we got released on Wednesday. So I was there for 3 days. We went home, and he just kept doing the same thing, and it just started getting a little bit worse. He kept doing it. He kept, after every feeding, after me burping him, he was fine. But then when I would put him in his crib, lay him down flat, or when I would put him in his bouncer, that's when he would start choking on his vomit and wouldn't be able to breathe. He wouldn't be able to catch his breath. So I would have to be with him the entire time, even whether it was at 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 in the morning. I hadn't really gotten any sleep, because I didn't want him to, end up choking on me or something, and then it being too late for me to do something. And like I said, this was happening in almost every feeding, not right after the feeding, not right after burping him, but it could be like an hour after. I don't know if some of your kids or some of you went through this with your newborns. This is the first time that I've gone through that with my newborn. So finally, I think it was maybe, well, after that happened of him choking, I took him to the emergency room, to the ER, that specializes just for kids, and they diagnosed him, or they said that he had reflux. I don't know if I'm saying it wrong, reflux or reflex, something like that. That they said that it was normal, that a lot of kids or newborns have it, but the way that my son was having it, it didn't feel like it was normal. It was too much throwing up and all that, right? So they released us that same day. We went home, and the same night or the next day, he kept doing it. He kept, choking and vomiting, and not being able to catch air. It would take him quite a little bit of time, a couple seconds to, get air. So then, one night, I fed him at about 11:30 p.m. So, I would feed him almost like 2 to 3 hours. So his last feeding was at 11:30 p.m. and at around 2:30 p.m. is when I was going to give him his next feeding, but I decided not to, and just lay him down, to see what would happen, to see if he was okay. So so it was about 2:30. So 11, 12, 1, 2. So exactly about 3 hours, I decided to lay him on his back in his crib. As you can see, he has his crib right there. Nothing's on it. He sleeps by himself. Nothing's making him choke or anything. I laid him down, and as soon as I laid him down, he squirted, like he threw up, like it was a lot of vomit that came out of his mouth. As soon as I laid him down, I saw him choking, like trying to, get air. So I run and I pick him up, and he throws up, like it comes out from his mouth, it comes out from his nose. So I'm scared, panicking, you know, wondering why he's throwing up so much, or why this is happening. If I had just burped him 3 hours ago, that's not normal to me. That's too much of a time, already time for his next feeding for him to start throwing up that much. So as I'm patting him, he cannot get any air. He is trying to breathe, trying to get air, and he's choking on his vomit at the same time. So I wake his dad up and I give him, to his dad, and I start looking for the little suction and I couldn't find it. So I'm just looking for the suction, and I finally find it, and I start suctioning out his nose and his mouth, or his mouth and his nose, just to try and get as much vomit. And while I'm doing this and looking for this suction thing, he's still not able to get his air. He's still not able to breathe. So I start crying and panicking because, he's going without breathing, and he started turning so red and purple. He was not turning blue, but his lips were turning a little bit blue. And I started panicking. I'm sorry. It's hard to talk about. So finally we're just tapping him, and sorry. I decided to take him to the hospital. Well, we want to take him to the hospital, but because they had released us already, I just decided to wait, since it was already going to be morning, to take him to his pediatrician to see what she thought, might be wrong with him or something. So just looking at him like that, trying to struggle to get some air, was like the worst feeling ever. So that same morning, we took him to his doctor, and she said that, that was not normal. That so much of that vomit and all that, him choking on his vomit and not being able to get air, was not normal, or it was too much. And that is the same thing that I kept telling them since he was born, that it was too much for it to be normal, for it to be okay. So since he was born, like a week after, because when I took him to the hospital the second time, he was only 10 days old. So since he was born up to his 10 days, I had not slept. I hadn't gotten any sleep. I had to watch him the entire time for him not to choke on me or something, So I was so exhausted, and she sent us to the hospital. She recommended us, send us to the hospital. She, phoned them and told them that we were on our way. So when we went, mind you, when he was born, he weighed 7 pounds and 9 ounces. And when we took him, he weighed 6 pounds and 4 ounces. So he lost about 16% of his weight. He was very thin. And that broke my heart, seeing him, so thin. When he was born, he was wearing his newborn diapers, and they fit him perfect. And I had noticed that he was, he just seemed a little smaller, a little thinner. And when we took him to the hospital for the second time, his newborn Pampers fit him like big. He was just so like too thin. You can see his little ribs and everything. So that was already hard to deal with. And so they started, they took a sonogram, and I'm not sure what that word is, but it's a little muscle that, that they have, or we have in the stomach, or something like that. And that was, if he had that, then he was gonna need surgery in his stomach. And I did not want to go that route. I didn't want that to happen because he was only 10 days old. Of course, you don't want that to happen to your newborn. So they did have to put him on, they did have to put his IV and, give him Pedialyte, they give him Pedialyte, they give him some fluids. And just when we took him and they put his IV on, they struggled with the IV. And already, him losing so much weight, and then these nurses, watching them put his damn IV on, that needle in his little hand. They did it 2 times and they couldn't do it, and it was killing me through the inside. I just couldn't take it anymore. Just watching them put that on him. And the weird thing is that when they put that on him, he wasn't even crying because he was so weak. He looked so weak, so thin. And if usually when babies get poked, especially in the hand, they'll scream and cry, and he couldn't even, like, I guess, move. He was so weak. um and then they had needed a sample of his urine, so of course they had to do a catheter. And just watching them put that catheter inside, oh my god, was the worst. I just, oh, he was screaming. Of course that hurts. He was screaming and screaming and crying, and they couldn't do it the first time, so they did it again later on, a second time. I just couldn't take it anymore. So finally I told him to stop. So the third time they were able to put his IV on. They did try 2 times for the catheter, and they still weren't able to get any any urine. So I told them to stop, and they ended up admitting him to the hospital because he lost so much weight. I did stay with him the first night. Guys, I was scared. I was scared he was gonna keep losing more weight. The first night he did lose a little bit more instead of gaining. He ended up staying there for a total of 4 days, and those were like the worst days of my life, I swear. With, like I said, for any of my other kids, my other 3 kids, I never went through anything like that with him or with them. So I only stayed with him for the first night. Because I had a C-section. I was so uncomfortable, and I was still hurting, and like I said, I thought my cut was open because I was leaking and draining, and I've never gone through that with my previous C-sections. So it was so uncomfortable for me. I was so exhausted. I hadn't slept for almost 2 weeks. I mean, those 10-11 days, I would always watch him the entire time. So his dad took over, and he stayed the second night until his 4th day there. He did a great job. I really appreciate his help. So the first night, his second night there, he did gain 3 ounces. So I was so happy and excited that he gained weight and not lost anymore. I'm sorry, guys. And but they did not want to release him yet until they saw that he was gaining more. So he stayed there another night. So he got admitted on Thursday, and he ended up going back on Sunday. And sorry, the first day that he was there, he did lose a little bit of weight. The second day he gained 2 ounces, and the next day he gained 1 ounce. So because he was doing a little better, and we had to also change like the nipple on the bottle. So the one that he's supposed to be on or supposed to use is a flat nipple from the brand MAM. That is the only one that he was doing good on. The nipples from the hospital, the ones that I had at home, well, some of them, and the breast, he just, I guess, wasn't doing good on them, or I just don't know if I was giving him too much. So he ended up gaining more weight. He got a little better. We were finally able to bring him home. My husband actually surprised me with him, because he said he wasn't gonna come out till maybe like the night, and he ended up showing up like around 11:30 in the morning. So you could already imagine how excited and emotional I was to see him, to have him, because having him and then having to be separated from him for those 4 days was like the worst for me. I couldn't sleep, even though I was here with my kids. Their ages are 3, 4, and 6, so they, when I tell them to go to sleep, they'll go to sleep, or they'll stay in their room. So that was a time for me to get rest, and it just got worse for me. I haven't had any appetite since my son was born. Until now, I still really don't have any appetite. I don't crave any food, and those 4 days of being separated from him was the worst for me. I didn't really want to, just crying all day. I didn't really want to eat or anything. So I'm so happy that everybody, prayed for him. That God helped him with, with his stomach, helped him, keep his food down. That's what I was always praying for, is for him to keep his food down and just to please not throw up so he can gain the weight. And he finally did after like 2 days. And he came home, and ever since he's been home, he has been doing great. He has been eating 2 ounces every 3 hours, burping so good, so good. He did throw up yesterday one time, just a little bit, because I fed him a little too quick. I feel like that was my fault. But other than that, he just, I think, maybe spit up like one time, but nothing compared to how he was doing when he was at the hospital and when he was here. So I'm so grateful to God, thankful to God that, that he was finally able to come home and, able to keep his food down, burp good. Now, yesterday, I finally took him to his pediatrician. And guys, from 6'4", he went all the way up to, what was it? He gained a total of 10 ounces with me at home, with us at home, and 3 at the hospital. So a total of 10 ounces. So yesterday he was only 1 ounce away from being 7 pounds. And when he was born, remember, he was 7 pounds 9 ounces. So he's on his way up. And I'm so happy, he's been doing such a great job and eating, keeping his food down. Now he even cries for more food, but I'm still going to keep giving him the 2 ounces, just, to take it little by little. But I do appreciate everybody for checking on us. I just want to say thank you to everybody that prayed for him. It's been a rough little ride, and just his first 12 days, 13 days of being born. But I just wanted to update you guys on why I haven't been uploading. I was, I did just start my channel, and I was uploading, constantly, but I just didn't want to upload. I didn't feel like uploading, and I felt like this was something a little bit more personal that I did not have to put out there. But because everything is over and he's doing a little better, he's well, I just wanted to kind of explain why I haven't really uploaded in almost 2 weeks. So yeah, guys, so I really hope that you guys are doing well. I wish you guys well. If you're new, guys, please go ahead and subscribe to my channel. It's just a little bit about everything, DIYs, hauls, vlogs, day in the life, a little bit of everything. So yeah, I just wanted to update you guys with that. See you guys on my next video. I'm hoping maybe to do a couple hauls in my next videos. I just wanted to get situated with my son first, because he does come first. And so do my kids and my health as well. Like I said, I don't know if any of you moms have gone through this, but please comment down below if any of you moms, whether it was your recent pregnancies or if you remember of any of your past pregnancies or previous pregnancies, about not, having an appetite for any type of food. I just really been drinking more, water or herbal teas. I have eaten just a little bit, but I really don't feel like eating. I don't feel like depressed or anything. I just don't feel hungry. I just don't want to eat. If any of you have gone through anything like this, please let me know if it's normal or if it's something that I should talk to my doctor about, because I have had postpartum depression of like the highest level with my firstborn, and I don't want it to happen again. So if it's something that's normal, that happens all the time, or something that is not normal, please let me know. Thank you guys for watching, and go ahead and give this video a thumbs up, guys.